Hi folks, how are you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I do hope you're finding the love and you're witnessing the blessings that are there in life in these difficult times. It's hard, my friends, but we are all in this one together. I'm offering these devotions as my little bit of hope, I suppose, doing what I can, playing my role of being a part of the solution. The devotions are offered as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And the title for today's devotion is, I Do Not Regret This Journey. So I invite us to still ourselves. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of freedom in this cup of belonging, acceptance, and love. Part of a Larger Life by John Saxon. Source of all life, all love, all hope, known by many names and in many ways. We don't know who or what you are, or even whether you can be called a who or what. Our words fail us. Our minds fail us when we ponder the enormity, diversity, complexity, wonder and beauty of the universe and this world. And yet we sense more than know that our lives are part of a larger life, that we are indeed connected with everyone and everything in one interdependent web of being, and that there is something both immanent and transcendent that nurtures and sustains our lives and life itself, something that calls us and all life to greater wholeness and harmony. We give thanks for all the gifts and blessings of life, for this day, for the beauty and wonder and mystery of life, for our families and friends, for health and work, for opportunities to learn and love and grow, for the love and support of others in times of illness and despair. But we remember too that others in this world, all around us, those that struggle, those that suffer, those in isolation, those that are finding it particularly hard at this time, those with economic insecurity. In this time and in this space, may we hear the call to wider perspective and deeper resolve. May we live with greater compassion and care for ourselves, others and the whole of creation. May we touch each other more deeply, hear each other more clearly, and see each other's joys and sorrows as our own. May we strive to be and become more than we are, more loving, more forgiving, more kind, more honest, more open, more connected, more whole. May we heal and be healed. May we face the uncertainties and tragedies of life with hope, faith and courage, knowing that life is good and that we are not alone. May our hearts be open to all this day and in the days to come. Amen. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again, come, come. Words attributed to Rumi, the Sufi mystic. Words familiar to many. Or at least some of the words actually are familiar to people I share my singing meditation with, although it's interesting that we leave some of the words out. We sing, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet yet again come. Yes, in the version that we sing, the line, "It doesn't matter, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times," are edited out. And there's a bit of me feels frustrated at the editing, actually. While I love the joyful welcome of the words we sing, it seems a bit dishonest. Because the truth is, who amongst us has not fallen short of what they had hoped to be? Who hasn't broken their vows so many times? Who does not live with regret for the things they have done in life or failed to do in life? I know that I do. I live with regret. Of course I do. So I say to you, come again, come again, come again, no matter how many times you've broken your vow. You are not alone. You will not be alone. Because I think it's human to live with regret. We all live with regret. And of course, the key is to live with it, to live with regret, to come again and again and again, exactly as we are, warts and all, and beauty spots too. I find it interesting that one of the most popular songs played at funerals is My Way by Frank Sinatra. And that famous line, "Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention." Other popular ones by Edith Piaf, "Je ne regrette rien." I'm not going to try and sing that, don't worry. Or a more modern version, Robbie Williams, "No Regrets." But is this true, really? Can any of us say that as our lives come to the end that we've no regrets? I don't think I can. I can't claim I have no regrets in my life. But the thought of no regrets brings to mind a heroic tale I remember being told as a child. It's about one of those classic adventurous stories of heroic failure, actually, and sacrifice. It's almost like the failures are ones that are remembered more than the great successes. Heroic failure, we kind of like that, I think, the British. And it's a story over 100 years old. During the last days of March in 1912, Antarctic explorer Captain Robert Falcon Scott, an adventurer's name if there ever was one, I think, and his two surviving companions sat freezing to death in their shelter, food and fuel running out, and with no hope of rescue. A team of 5 set out in hope of being the first people to set foot on the South Pole. Sadly, when they arrived at the pole 2 months earlier, they discovered that a Norwegian team had beaten them by a month. As they headed back, disappointed, they lost 2 members of their team. Scott and the other 2 survivors managed to shelter themselves, but knew that there was no hope for survival. Months later, a search party found them, and with them Scott's diary. One of the final entries ponders the meaning of the experience he shared with his doomed companions. In it he states, "I do not regret this journey," and continues, "We took risks. We knew we took them. Things have come out against us, and therefore we have no cause for complaint, but bow to the will of Providence, determined still to do our best to the last." In many ways it is a classic hero's journey, except in one way actually, in which the hero does not return with treasure to share. Unless, of course, we take his writings as the hero returning, and maybe that's the case actually. For in so many ways they have become the legend long after Scott and his team's death, particularly these 6 simple words: "I do not regret this journey." Now, I'm no Captain Scott, I'm no adventurer, and I do live with regret. That said, like Scott, I do not regret the journey that has been my life. There have been many failures, many mistakes along the way, but looking back, I don't regret the journey itself. Would I like to repeat the journey, though? No, I don't think I would, actually. Do I want to shut the door on the journey? No, I don't want to do that either. I, like the great poet Robert Frost, live with not only hope for the future, but hope also for the past. For the more faithfully I live, the less guilt and shame I feel about the past. I keep on coming again and again, despite falling short of my ideals, despite breaking my vows once again. I know I'm in good company there as well. Yes, I live with regret. Live being the operative word. In many ways, it is my regret that points me to try and live a better way and to create a legacy for others. I have faith in the capacity to make good from what has gone before. I move forward in hope both for the future and even the past. I'm going to share with you that wonderful poem about Robert Frost, actually, not by Robert Frost. The poem is Thanks, Robert Frost, by David Ray. Thanks, Robert Frost. Do you have hope for the future? Someone asked Robert Frost toward the end. Yes, and even the past, he replied, that it will turn out to have been all right for what it was, something we can accept. Mistakes made by the selves we had to be, not able to be perhaps when we had what we wished, or what, looking back, half the times it seems we could so easily have been or ought. The future, yes, and even the past, that it will become something we can bear. And I too, and my children, so I hope, will recall as not too heavy the tug of those albatrosses I sadly placed upon their tender necks. Hope for the past, yes, old Frost, your words provide that courage, and it brings strange peace that itself passes into past, easier to bear because you said it, rather casually, as snow went on falling in Vermont years ago. Regret is an interesting word. It is in itself a lament from the old French word regretter, meaning one who bewails the dead, which comes from a Germanic root meaning to greet. As Mark Nepo has said of regret, we always face these two phases of regret, to bewail what is dead and gone, and if we can move through the grief, to greet the chance to do things differently as we move on. As we move on with not only hope for the future, but also for the past. And the key, of course, is to truly live with regret, to make something better from the regret, but to hold it with us, not cast it aside. Nepo notes something of real value here. It is a lesson from grief. Yes, regret is a lament for what has gone, what has died. But if we greet it fully with love, we can learn from the past and to do things differently in the future. The response to regret is both of life and death. The choice is ours. By the way, this is the one choice that we have in life. We do not choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to what happens to us. The one ultimate freedom that's open to all of us. We can, To quote the great Viktor Frankl, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So the response to regret is ours. We can either choose life or death. We can choose to close in and shut down, or we can create with love. There are two interesting examples of responses to regret in the New Testament accounts. They are found within the Easter story, actually, following Jesus' betrayal. In Luke chapter 22, the Gospel depicts Peter regretting his betrayal of Jesus. He wept bitterly for his fear-based denial, and yet how did he respond to this regret? Well, it was on Peter that the early Christian church was built. Peter was the rock. For Peter, hope was once again born from that regret. Matthew chapter 27 depicts a very different response to regret, that of Judas Iscariot, who who, overpowered with guilt and regret for his betrayal, tried to return the 30 pieces of silver and took his own life. How many people follow this path, are utterly broken with guilt and regret, and take their own lives? You see, the coronavirus is not the only pandemic facing humanity. There are others, suicide being a huge one. If only we could find a way to let people know that they are welcome to come again and again and again, no matter how many times they've broken their vows. They say it's never too late. Well, sometimes sadly it is. So let's live with regret and make something from it. Regret, you see, has its place. There's no point denying this. The key is how we respond to regret. We need to feel it and to respond in life-giving and life-affirming ways. We need to live with both hope for the future, but also the past as well. The key is to create new life from regret. Peter is a good example. For as John Chichester wrote in The Gift of Years, the burden of regret is that unless we come to understand the value of the choices we made in the past, we may fail to see the gifts they have brought us. The blessing of regret is clear. It brings us, if we are willing to face head-on, to the point of being present to the new time of life in an entirely new way. It urges us to continue becoming. To live without hope is to fail to live at all. To live with only regret is to die before our bodies die. I'm sure that Captain Scott must have wondered about the mistakes he had made, even in those desperate final days. He must have wondered how different things might have been if other decisions had been made. That said, he faced death with those immortal words, "I do not regret this journey." There is something powerfully life-enhancing in this, and a legacy that has lived on way beyond his life. I suspect that the lesson here is that we should never regret the journey. Even if we never reach the heights we aim for, no one ever does. So it's not regret in and of itself that is the issue, but what we do with our regrets. Yes, regrets can eat away at our souls, but if we are wise, regrets can be a powerful teacher too. To learn from them, we just need enough humility and hope both for the future and the past, rather than allow them to gnaw away at our souls. Hope is the key. It is hope that will allow us to learn from our regrets and thus create a better future. Hope, of course, born from humility. Just because life humbled us, it does not mean that we cannot once again live in hope that we can create something better in our futures and even our pasts. Do not regret the journey. Live with hope both for the future and the past. Let's face and truly know those things that we regret, no matter how many times we've broken our vows. We need not be paralysed lamenting the past, nor do we need to close the door on the past. Let us instead move through the grief of regret and greet the future with its possibility of what might yet be. Let's live with regret. Let's live from it, perhaps, be powered by it, spur us on to better things. Who knows what's possible? I don't. I don't want to know, actually. I'm going to end today's reflection with a few words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more. We can all bless. We bless by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer these final words of blessing. May the Eternal bless you. May our lives be blessed according to the depth of our love, the persistence of our faith, our willingness to forgive and be compassionate too, and in proportion to our yearning to be free. And may the love of God hold us and sustain us in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.